Yeah, I'm going to start out with George Seaman. And what I really love about George, and first I want to say, I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. When I kept paring it down and paring it down. In 20 minutes, I'm going to show you a lot of things. But Lola and I are going to be here for the conference. So if something comes up and you say, gee, I'm going to corner them later, or we'll be here, and so we'll be very much interested in talking with you about some of these ideas that I'm going to be throwing out to you. And I love George's quote because, it actually, I have another quote from him that he said to Kathleen Merrigan when Kathleen Merrigan was here. Did anyone see her presentation when she was here? The quote she started out with, and I think this is funny because I thought, gee, I think I'll start out with George too. She said, George, the quote was, organic can feed the world. After 30 years, 1990, the Organic Food Production Act, we know that organic can feed the world. And I think today, I want to say, maybe that's the only way we will feed the world. So that's so important right now. I'm going to start out with this learnings that working for Farmers Co-op. And I want to definitely thank Mike Schulist, who I just heard, who really talked a lot about the cooperative and the cooperative model. So some of you who are there or in co-ops already know it. But I thought you would love the idea that Mike, I want to call out Adolph Trussoni. Crop co-op would not exist without NFO. And a lot of the first farmers of crop co-op were NFO farmers. And there's a funny story about Adolph Trussoni, who just came through and said, yes, we'll put down some money for you. And I do want Mike to know that we did pay that money back. But the first bullet here, farmer determined pay price. I know how difficult that is. And I know you're all looking and going, yeah, we sure would like stable, organic, stable pay price. But I never want you to give up on trying to do that. I think it's so critical for farmers, and we never gave up in the 25 years I worked for crop. We never gave that up either. And it's hard work. You have to get together a lot and talk about a lot of all the things, but I really want to emphasize that you should never give it up. In sales, and I oversaw marketing and sales for a long time, not just at crop, but in other things I did. And salespeople, can't hear the word no. And I like to think that also organic farmers are the same way. Don't ever give up on that. Also, the three-legged stool, well, listening to Mike, I realized that NFO is working with a five-legged stool, but this also is important. This idea of resilience, equal diversity, and I'm sure you're all there too. You're saying, okay, I am selling raw ingredients, but maybe I also have to work with NFO and others to try and figure out how to sell to manufacturers. And of course, the most expensive kind of marketing is value-added marketing, which we'll look at in a minute. I don't want to spend a whole lot, but on this slide, I want you guys, if you have any other questions about this, we can talk about it. But Mike did talk about piggybacking. Oh, wow, that's so important for crop. I learned a lot about piggyback marketing. I learned a lot about pooling product, because that also is a very, very important thing. I know that you all are trying to do that, and certainly NFO is helping with that. And this idea of transactional analysis, never forget that all we're doing all the time is from the time that you get that product, you're trying to sell it, talking to buyers. And I loved what Mike said too. He said transactions can be messy. The more you can think about the fact that you're always, once you get that product through, you're in a transactional thing. And then a really clear thing that we have to look at is you farmers here are farmers, but there's a lot of stakeholders out there. I'm one of them, okay? I'm a stakeholder here. It started out saying an end user. Note, I didn't say consumer. I'm kind of in that particular group of people who don't like the word consumer. I like to think of myself as a citizen eater, and I like to think of myself as a stakeholder and a participant, and that's the way I think organic consumers feel. And they did right from the very beginning. Remember in 1990, over 300,000 people wrote letters in, and that made a big difference, 380,000, something like that. And also, I want to point out governance. Farmers, you're not good at it. I'm sorry to say that, and I can't tell you how much I respect and admire and am humbled by you. In a way, I want to call out last night's meeting on no-till. I came away so proud of the farmers, the organic farmers, the passion, from all ages, from young people to the older people, on the research, on trying to continue to do it. After 30 years of watching organic, wow, have we come a long way, a long, long way. And just a reminder, in 1994, when I first came here from Oregon, and I met a lot of people at UW-Madison, I was told, don't use the O word there. And so just a reminder of how far we've come, and I'm just like really proud of UW-Madison right now. But once again, long-term strategic planning is so critical, and so learning how to do and really think about governance if you're going to group together. I learned that from Crop 2. It's very, very important. Let's see, let me go to the next one. Value-added marketing on a low budget. That's what I learned from marketing too. Wow, you know what? Farmers don't like marketing. They're actually, a lot of farmers are kind of confused by it, and I don't blame them. It is difficult, and we'll look at a little bit more marketing on that. But anyway, when I started talking first about all the different things I learned at Crop, if I didn't know that, I wouldn't be able to market it. So the first thing a marketer has to do is know who you're working for and know what they want, and then you have to help them do it. And of course, what is the best thing that the end user, the citizen consumer, the citizen eater wants? They love a good story, and they love farm stories. And I think all of you know that. You've been telling your friends, your neighbors, and other people's stories all the time. So remember how important your story is. So what I tried to do as a marketer at Crop Co-op is get farmers to tell their story. And so the programs I developed there, and by the way, they're still there at Crop, and I'm really proud of that. Farmers in Marketing. We had farmers come and do lots of things in marketing, the Farmer Ambassador program, and then we had a Geno program, and those things are all going now, and they're very effective. Partnership marketing is incredibly important. I just can't say, this idea of relationship marketing, communication, how important it is to both see who your multi-stakeholders are and really get together with them. And it's not just NFO, who was instrumental in starting Crop. It's the Michael Fields Institute. It's the FO, the Friends of Organic, and all these other people. Get to know who the NGOs are and the others, and whatever we can do to be partners with them, they can tell your story. And I would just say one thing about value-added marketing for me. By the way, this was 20th century marketing. I'm going to go to 21st century marketing soon. But in 20th century, what I did was I said, I don't have the money. You know that a good marketing campaign cost about $20 million? And that's just one marketing campaign if you're going to go to radio and TV and all that. Well, we didn't have that money. So I took $1 million and I gave it to over 100 organizations every year in $5,000 increments. And it was a lot of money for some of them. And we were loved by them. And so we are often keynote speakers at their conferences and stuff like that. So, you know, always look out for who your partners are, and because this is a relationship situation. I also, move back on. The only constant is change. This is 21st century marketing, and please, you can read it. Social media. We have new language here. From the 25 years ago that I did this, we now have the most important thing to do is share and so subscribe, and then that's what you do all the time in social media. So in my day, I had $1.2 billion impressions a year that was tracked by a very expensive media tracking company. And today you still have media tracking companies, but it's a real social world right now. It's changed tremendously. And in a few minutes you'll see who the Zoomers are. That's what they do. They know digital marketing. I'm over 70. And so I actually need my daughter to help me figure it all out. And I bet a lot of you use your kids to help you figure out your computers. But anyway, this is a new era for marketing, and we're all just adjusting to it. There is no newspapers and magazines anymore. Everything's online. And so the new marketers of today have to really, really understand social media. I wanted to say something about whoops, did I skip a slide here? Oh, this is Mary Nestle. Who knows who Mary Nestle is? Anyone? Great, I see some hands up there. Who thinks breakfast is the most important meal of the day? Okay, do you know why you think that? Because the General Mills of the world, the corporations, decided that they were going to put forward research that breakfast was the most important. It isn't really. For some people it is. You know what? But you know, everybody's different. Everybody's different. And so for me, actually, breakfast isn't really my most important meal of the day. And a lot of people really intuitively know that. Gee, I don't get hungry till 11 o'clock or whatever. Well, we do that because we have been manipulated by corporations and the government in collusion to actually convince you that, you know, breakfast is the most important. And Mary Nestle said it. If you don't know media, if you can't understand media, you're probably not going to be able to understand health. Okay, so remember 80% of the American diet is high fructose corn syrup. We see it every day here in Wisconsin, acres and acres and acres of corn. And what is the secondary product of corn? High fructose corn syrup. And is it good for you? No. So those of you who are trying to look at your health, okay. Lola got it. So anyway, let me keep going here. I'm saying that O'Grain is so positioned for the future. You are today the leaders. And these numbers came from Kathleen Merrigan in her presentation. And Lola, thank you for doing that. So you are, this is your positioning. Couldn't be better for what's happening in the world today. You are climate smart, you're health smart, and so on. And let me just keep moving through here. I say needs have to become trends. Well, will we all figure out how to cook from scratch? I know some of you are older here, and you probably do cook from scratch, but the new generation doesn't cook from scratch. And, you know, where is America on this list? I'm going to have to come back to corn syrup soon, but that's probably one of the reasons. One of the things about the Europeans is they still like to cook from scratch. And I think that this is a very difficult slide. Sorry in that I don't have any room for my notes. So I'm having this shuffle here. But I really wanted to show this and also call out another trend that's happening right now is Mackenzie Feldman has worked really hard to get pesticides off the lawns of where kids are playing in college. There's a lot of things going on in the United States today. Right in northern Iowa, there's some amazing projects going on trying to get pesticides off of all the school lawns. Think about it, the most vulnerable people who for pesticides are kids. And this list is pretty scary. These links are from hundreds of different kinds of studies all over the world that show this link. And so, you know, we can't ignore this. How can we increase pesticides, double them with some of the most awful things? 2,4-D is back because of the glyphosate issue. So, you know, I've been working on this for 5 years with Chuck Benbrook. It actually started as a crop project, and then now is just an independent project. And, you know, this is the first, we're looking for 2,000 pairs of moms and kids, very few research studies. Last night I was so inspired by the on-farm research you all are doing, but we need other science too on health. We already have a ton of science, but we need more on the impact of farming. 30% contribution to greenhouse gases from farming is not acceptable. And you guys are showing that we can reduce that, and that's what we're going to keep doing. This is an exciting time for agriculture, and you are the leaders. This is a scary slide too, but we can't ignore this. We have, almost done here. So here's the new era for farming, but please look at that last one. We have to have a promotions board. Do you know that I just read that the Dairy Council just got $20 million from Secretary Vilsack? Where's our promotion board? What is someone going to give us $20 million to try and do the kind of education work that is so important right now? Not just for you, but all the stakeholders. That's what I want for us. I want this promotion board so badly. And I am going to make sure I give my daughter plenty of time. Just the Zoomers and the millennials. My millennial daughter, I'm a boomer, not a Zoomer, but the Zoomers don't even know what a landline is. So they went right into the digital world. Lola tells me that she learned about the web in high school. So she's a little bit more friendly than I am too. But here are who they are. And of the millennials and Lola's going to represent them, they actually are 25% of this. The 10% Zoomers, which is Gen Z, and marketers love this. They love to segment things. But certainly in one of these slides you saw, I said, please know who your segments are. And you as farmers are going like, oh, why should we know who well, you are also the citizen consumer, all of you as well. So it really is important to understand and be able to communicate to all these different segments and know who they are, and they're all very different. With that, I have a note here. Lola and I like to make miso. Who knows what miso is? And we actually have, I want to bring miso to the Midwest. Why? Because it's a meat substitute. But it uses soybeans. So anyone who would like to sell me a 25-pound bag of organic soybean, every year I bring my friends together and we make miso. It has to age for a year, and so does Lola, but I can never find organic soybeans. So that's a very, I know, self-serving thing I just did, but if you have a 25-pound bag of soybeans, I want to buy it. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Lola. Well, I hope I didn't take too much time.
This is my first time ever giving a talk with my mom. How sweet is that? Great. Okay. Well, if my mom is talking big picture, I'm going to be a case study. I'm going to be small picture. I'm going to tell you my own personal story, and I'm going to try to use it to explain some ways that I've been able to market organic in unexpected ways. I like to think of this as a love story. So I have a company. It's called Umi Organic. We make a whole grain certified organic yakisoba noodle. A yakisoba is like a stir-fry noodle. Think chow mein. Think something that's par cooked, and you throw it in a pan with some veggies. Did that work? Oh, here I am. Okay, there's my face again. But yes, reach out to me afterwards. There's my mom and little baby me. Born in Portland, Oregon, lived there my whole life. Studied Japanese since I was 5. And lived in Japan different times. Been a noodle lover for a very, very long time. At some point, I learned that Portland, Oregon was the largest wheat and barley gate in the nation. All the time, I was seeing ships going down the river, bringing wheat out to Japan. And in the meantime, I was going to Japanese markets and buying noodles. And I started realizing I call them boomerang noodles. Noodles where the flour was shipped across the ocean, manufactured, and then shipped back to the US. And I thought, wait, why wouldn't I want to eat something that was made with domestic grains here? And I figured I must not be the only one who wants that. So founded Umi Organic in 2016. We're based in Portland, women-owned business. We do only certified organic products and all noodles using whole grains. First certified organic refrigerated ramen for grocery stores. We're sold only on the West Coast. It's a perishable product. We move everything frozen. And we've been Good Food Award winner. So the inspiration in Japan, I like to say, ramen is more than a bowl of soup, and it's an expression of place. It means that wherever you go, there is something about the agriculture there that's being put into the food. And that's what I wanted our product to be. I wanted it to be an expression of the grains and the farmers that were being grown in our region. Luckily, ramen was getting really hot when I started this company, and that was a real boon for me. So I knew that the farmers were where I wanted to begin my journey, that I have nothing if I don't have organic grain and consistent organic grain. And so I started buying directly from a farmer in Oregon called Del Blanchard from Myrtle Creek. and getting whole grain barley flour from him. Okay, moving along a few years, I happened to meet the nutrition director for Portland Public Schools. Her name is Whitney Ellersick. And she said to me, just in passing, I'm looking for a whole grain yakisoba noodle to serve in all the public schools in Portland. And I thought, well, no one says public schools are a very lucrative market, but isn't that kind of what I want to see for the future? Organic grains being served in public school lunch. Is there anything higher that I could do? And so she gave me a few months to develop a yakisoba noodle, and it had to be whole grain rich. And as many of you might know, we still have nutrition standards for schools that all grains have to be whole grain rich. And turns out very few people want to make a whole grain rich noodle. It's difficult. So I went to work, did R&D testing, and was able to make something. In Oregon, we have money for schools to pay more for local. And I really recommend that if you know a network of people that are working on things like this in your state, you advocate for this. It makes all the difference in the world for businesses like mine. It not only means they can pay a premium for local, but also a premium for organic. It makes it possible to access the lunchroom where it wasn't before. So our project began at this school. It's this elementary school where I studied Japanese. It's also got a really active population of moms who care enormously about what's served. They wanted to bring a cultural lunch, Japanese food that emphasized what was being taught in the classroom. And first thing I did, I'm looking for the farmer. Who can I get consistent grain from? Here in Oregon, all the way over in Oregon, there's a mill called Camas Country Mill. It's mid-scale. They do certified organic grains. And I knew that they were at a scale where I could make enough noodles to serve a larger market. So I like to talk about the ecosystem. We're all part of an ecosystem that is serving our collective mission to make sure that people are eating organic grains, that the soil is being taken care of, and there are many players in that. And the more we see ourselves in connection to each other, the better I think we'll all do. And so I tapped into my local ecosystem. That was the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Education, people who could help me understand how to navigate school nutrition rules. They're not simple. The next thing, and also part of the ecosystem, the cooks. Who's going to be cooking these noodles? Spent a lot of time in cafeterias with the people who would be using the final product. I realized that every single cafeteria has an oven at 350 degrees. And so if that's the case, then I need a noodle that can be cooked in an oven at 350 degrees. And so that's what we figured out together. And then another part of this important ecosystem, the kids who are going to eat the noodles. You know, we want school lunch to be delicious, and I needed to make sure that when we served our noodles, they were going to be loved by the kids who ate them. So May 2019, we serve our yakisoba for the first time. It gets served in all of Portland Public Schools. And it was a highlight for me of the business. When it was served, the kids were so excited because we'd done all these taste tests that they literally chanted yakisoba while waiting in line. When was the last time you heard kids thrilled about what they're going to eat for school, at school lunch in public school? And we're talking 100% certified organic, whole grain rich noodles. So what comes next? Well, to my shock, we won an award. Did I apply for this award? No, I did not apply. Why did we win it? Because the school nutrition directors were so excited by the reception that the kids had and by the energy that we brought that they actually told our story for us, and they applied. And we were named one of the best school lunches in the nation, and that is such a wild series of words to hear, I think, best public school lunch, that it got a lot of media. And I'm going to circle back to this piece of this story later, but it's really important to note that our story was being told by people outside of us, beyond us. And then for me, as a business owner, it was really wonderful because Portland Public Schools, they talked to all their friends, and now we are in schools around Oregon. And again, we're pretty limited to Oregon because of that farm to school funding, but Oregon has got a lot of schools and a lot of kids, and it's still very meaningful. It's very significant for our business. And as you all know, forward contracting matters. And when a school says they're going to serve your noodles for a school year, you made your deal for the year. And you know exactly how much you need to make across 9 months. So one of the big takeaways for me was that parents, moms, and dads are big organic consumers. It's very important to keep them in mind. Having noodles in school lunch that were certified organic was thrilling to a lot of parents. And I got a lot of feedback for that because they want that for their kids. And maybe they can't always afford it. And that's why public school lunch is a really cool avenue to be telling that story. Okay, so here are a few very simple marketing lessons that I took from this experience. And I don't know if it will be directly relevant to each of you, but I hope it will resonate in different ways through what you do. So one, I just took photos the whole time. I also have a best friend who's a photographer. We live in a visual age. It's important to document what you do, and you should document throughout if you can. And that's that lunch at Portland Public Schools. Mom said the word sharing. I was thinking about, there's that kind of funny movie, Glengarry Glen Ross. It's before my time, but there's this famous scene where he's talking about sales, always be closing. I think it's more like sharing. And sharing, yes, that works for social media, but I actually mean just telling your story to people. And that also means listening to their story, because the reason that we were able to get the attention we got is because other people told our story for us. They saw themselves in it, and they shared it. And so being really vocal and talking to each other and learning each other's stories, that's important. I think we know this, but relationships are everything. Relationships, like the quality of relationships, is how even the biggest deals and the smallest deals. And so always being like, if the organic industry can always prioritize the way we respect each other, I think that will set an important standard. Again, I'm living in, Mom was talking about the social media age, but we each have a voice, and it is our own, and we should embrace our uniqueness and really cultivate our own voices and try to speak from them. She talked about donating money to hundreds of organizations. Community partnerships matter, and really investing in them. The more you invest in them, the more it will come back to you. I think that is still connected to that earlier conversation about sharing each other's stories, each other's wins, seeing ourselves as all knitted together in an ecosystem. And then I like to say quality over quantity. Engagement is a word that people use a lot in this world, but just like this conference, having a good conversation directly in person here is invaluable. It is more important than posting something that someone scrolls past in half a second. The more that you have actual interactions that are real, the better. Okay, I want real speedy, but thank you so much for having us. I know that my mom and I are here for questions. I realize that this is sort of a one step removed from what a lot of you are doing, but I want you also to see a picture of the companies and the people that are using your grains at the end. So thank you so much for your time.